Yo, what's up? Welcome back to another episode of the SWUS, talking college basketball Wednesday. Wednesday's usually an NBA night, but there is some good college basketball matchups here. I'm going to go through 4 or 5 of them. We'll see how much time I have. Let's get it started.
Welcome to the SWUS. The SWUS. SWUS. Hey, get the SWUS.
Let's start down in the SEC. We got Mississippi State on the road at Kentucky here. Wildcats laying 6 points at home with the total sitting at 156. This is going to be a rough one for Mississippi State, man. They're about to go on the road into Rupp Arena and face arguably the best home team in the country right now, or at least that's what the stats say. At home this season, Kentucky is first in points per game, first in field goal percentage, second in three-point percentage, first in true shooting percentage. I mean, Kentucky has shot the lights out at home. Now, we have to be fair and at least mention the fact that Kentucky's had somewhat of a weaker schedule at home. They've only played 2 Power 6 teams at home all season, and both of those teams are in the middle of a pretty disappointing season, Missouri and Miami. But still, tough to argue with those elite offensive numbers at home for Kentucky. So now let's take a look at how Mississippi State has played on the road this year. And they've been great in neutral site games. They're actually a perfect 6-0 in neutral sites, but in true road games, they're just 0-2. They have great defensive numbers. They're actually 7th in efficient field goal percentage in true road games, 3rd in opponent field goal percentage, 99th in three-point percentage. So they got great defensive numbers in those 2 road losses, but I mean, that just shows you how bad the offense has been for Mississippi State on the road. These aren't specifically the road numbers. These are Mississippi State's offensive numbers on the whole season, and you can see they're struggling on the offensive side of the ball. 106 in offensive rating, 238th at three-point percentage, 116th in field goal percentage, 253rd in turnover rate. So they're struggling to protect the basketball as well. And if you're wondering if Kentucky's defensive numbers look as good as their offensive numbers, and the answer is not quite as good, but they're still pretty good. They're 5th in defensive rating, 71st in field goal percentage, 77th in three-point percentage, 83rd in turnovers per game. Forced turnovers per game, I'm sorry. Look, as far as betting this game, I know this is super square. Line is definitely suspect. I know everyone's going to be taking Kentucky here, but I just don't see the angle for Mississippi State, so I got to roll with the public on this one. Kentucky -6, next game. Let's talk Big East next, and we got Creighton on the road at UConn. Connecticut is laying 6 points at home here with the total sitting at 143.5. We'll start off by taking a look at Creighton's numbers on the road so far this year. They've actually played 6 true road games at this point in the season, which is rare for college basketball in mid-January. And yeah, their numbers are definitely better at home. I mean, they're elite at home, but this is still a really good team on the road too. You can see offensive rating, they're 3rd at home, 35th though. They're still a solid road team. 1st and 9th, 85th in points per game isn't great actually, but 16th in true shooting percentage on the road. So Creighton can definitely play on the road. They should have their hands full in this one though. I mean, we're talking about the number 1 team in the nation here. UConn's a perfect 9-0 at home. I mean, that being said, UConn's only solid home win this year was St. John's. We got to mention that, but the Johnnies are pretty good. The fact that this game's being played in stores is huge though. I mean, UConn 1st in defensive rating, 2nd in efficient field goal percentage, 5th in points per game allowed, 3rd in true shooting percentage. This is probably the best home defense in the country so far, numbers wise, but like I previously mentioned, they haven't seen a ton of good offenses in their home games yet so far. As you would imagine, UConn's offensive numbers just as good as you would expect. I mean, 2nd in offensive rating, 5th in field goal percentage. They don't shoot the 3-ball particularly well, but this is still an elite offense. But look at Creighton with the sneaky good defensive numbers here. They're 36th in defensive rating, 51st in opponent field goal percentage, 39th in three-point percentage. The outside shot might not be there for Connecticut. 4th in true shooting. See, in this one, I'm down to take the points. I like this Creighton team. I can see a couple angles I like. I think Creighton defensively can take away the outside shot from Connecticut and force them to be one-dimensional. 6 is a big number in college basketball. Give me the Blue Jays, Creighton +6, and I might even take a little bit on the money line. Might take a little shot on the money line too. We'll see. Next game, Florida State on the road in Miami. We're talking ACC next. Miami laying 7 points at home, and the total sitting up at 157.5. Florida State comes into this one with just a 1-2 record on the road this season, and in those 3 road games, their stats take a significant hit. Look at their offensive ranks on the road here. 306, 355th in efficient field goal percentage, 269th in points rating. I mean, this is bad. This Florida State offense is bad, and it's even worse on the road. Now they're going to play on the road in Miami against the Canes, and look at their defensive numbers at home. Miami at home this year is 6th in defensive rating, 17th in efficient field goal percentage, 9th in three-point percentage, 5th in opponent true shooting. I mean, this is a really, really bad road offense on the road against a really, really good home defense. And as crazy as it sounds, things don't get a whole lot better for Florida State on the other side of the court either. I mean, Miami's also got great offensive numbers. In fact, Miami's offense is probably better than its defense. 6th in offensive rating, 2nd in efficient field goal percentage, 2nd in three-point percentage, 4th in true shooting. Florida State defensively, maybe not quite as bad as the offense is on the road, but these are still not great defensive marks on the season. 173rd, 135th, 221st, and 169th. Look, I was searching, and I really could only find one angle in favor of Florida State here, because 7's a big number, and I'm not going to just lay 7 points unless I've done my due diligence, and the only angle I can find for Florida State is turnovers. Florida State's defense is actually 30th in forced turnovers, and Miami's actually had some problems protecting the basketball. So that's it. That's all I can find in favor of Florida State. Everything else points to the Canes. Maybe if this game was on the road in Tallahassee, I could get there with Florida State plus some points, but in Miami, no way. Miami -7, next game. Last up, let's talk Big 12, and we got Texas Tech on the road in Houston. Houston's laying 12 points at home with the total all the way down at 129.5. Another matchup between two ranked teams. Texas Tech this year has only played two true road games, I should say. They're 1-1 in those games, but they actually ranked first in the nation in efficient field goal percentage at 61.2%. Their only road loss was on the road at Butler. It's all the way back in November. We're talking 6-7 weeks ago. Not really stressing that. But now they go on the road and play a Houston team that's a perfect 9-0 at home this season. Houston's defensive ranks at home are about as good as they get. Pretty much first in everything. They're 3rd in defensive rating, but first, and turnover efficient field goal points per game allowed. Now, just like UConn, their strength of schedule at home is definitely a huge question mark. I mean, all their games against top-tier opponents were on the road so far this season or at a neutral site. So those defensive numbers for Houston at home definitely need to be taken with a grain of salt. And if you flip it over and look at Houston's offensive marks, these are not what you would expect from the team that was just ranked number 2 in the country last week. Houston on offense, they are 22nd in offensive rating, so they've had a bit of a strong schedule, but 122nd in field goal percentage, 136th from the three-point line, 215th in true shooting percentage. Now, an argument for Houston's offense would be Texas Tech's defense was so bad in both their road games. They're 359th in defensive rating on the road. Now, they've only played 2 road games. It's an extremely small sample size, but still, the defense failed to show up both times on the road against Butler and a bad Texas team. This is Houston, so this is a whole nother animal. So if you're wondering why the line's 12, that's why. Odds makers, bookmakers do not trust Texas Tech's defense on the road. The defensive numbers on the full season for Texas Tech are all right, though. They're 42nd in defensive rating, 25th in opponent points per game, 66th in opponent field goal percentage. So the defense has been okay for Texas Tech. It's just those 2 road games were really bad. And obviously, this is a true road game on the road against a good Houston team. So it's definitely a little scary. As far as betting this game, admittedly, I don't know a ton about this Houston team. And I know just basic sports betting logic. You got a good team that's coming off back-to-back road losses back at home. Just basic logic will tell you they bounce back with a strong win, and you should probably bet them. But I'm fading Houston. I don't like these numbers here. Texas Tech has always been a good basketball program that won me money over the years. So I'm going to take the 12. Give me the Red Raiders plus 12. If you want my top bets for all sports, parlays of the day, or you want to join our Discord, head over to KyleKirms.com. The homepage is right on the website. I'm going to do a live show at 4 p.m. For the Wednesday night stuff, but it's going to be an NBA show. I doubt we'll have time to get to the college stuff because we got 10 NBA games. So probably won't get to any college basketball games on the live show. But if you're interested in betting some NBA, we'd love to see you in the comments if you're able to make it. Let's have ourselves a great Wednesday night. Let's keep this streak going. We've had a nice little 8-9 day stretch here. Remember to bet responsibly, and I'll talk to you in the Discord.